So I'm sitting here this morning having my cup of coffee, and I look out the window and I see this guy with this slug-a-bug truck next door, and he's out here and he's spraying the lawns, and I watch him and he pulls his hose out and he just starts going back and forth, and he's shooting the lawn. He's in and out of there, and Jesus, 5 minutes, he was probably 5 to 7 minutes he was done, and he was down the road. And I thought to myself, man, what a profession to be in. You know, that's so much easier than what I'm doing. And then I got in the house and I started to think about it. You know, I was walking around here and I have a cup of coffee, like I said, and I was thinking about it. What is involved with that job? What is so cool about that job? What makes it better than mine? And the more I thought about it, the more I realized, hey, that guy's just out there spraying his lawn. There's hazards to everyone's job, no matter who you are. And I watched his hazards, and I'm thinking to myself, well, okay, he's out in the sun all day long, so yeah, he's exposed to, you know, the skin cancer and things of that nature, just like a lot of us who work outside are. And then I look at, well, okay, what about the chemicals? You know, this guy's spraying chemicals all day long, 5 days a week. That can't be good for you. So over time, I mean, there's a price to be paid for everything, no matter what kind of business you're in. I think if you look at all the different professions out there, look at your lawn care. I mean, my God, you talk about issues for us. I mean, there's so many of them, I don't even know where to begin. But you have landscaping, there's weed control guys that are spraying Roundup and things of that nature all the time. And when you're breathing that stuff, that can't be good for you. You get it on your skin, that type of stuff, that's not good for you either. You know, chances of shooting yourself in the eye with that stuff, or it bounces off things and cuts splashback on you. I've had that happen already. So yeah, those are all different things I think about with this. It may be an easier job, but you know, maybe this guy gets up early in the morning and he's got to go mix his chemicals and stuff, and maybe they're heavy bags of chemicals that go in those big tanks and stuff like that. I don't know. You know, I've never done that type of work before, but I'm sure there's a lot more to it than what meets the eye, like anything, you know. So there's pros and cons to every type of business out there, and all the good things and bad things about them. I think this guy, for example, when I look at it, I think what a gravy job, you know, but I'm sure it's not. I'm sure it's tedious. He's got to get back in that truck. He probably only has so many minutes to get from one job to the next, and he may have to do 50 properties a day or something, you know, or more. I don't know. I have no idea what his schedule must be like, but I'm sure there's a lot more to it. Factory working, I mean, all different types of work that you can do. I used to work in a factory. I hated it because you were always on your feet, and you generally stayed in one spot. You didn't move very far. It was boring to me. It was just extremely boring. I hated that. And standing in one spot all day long, you know. So the money was good. I mean, it was good money, don't get me wrong. And then you have benefits. You know, you have your insurances and things of that nature that make it better for you to a certain extent. But for me, it wasn't just something I could do. I couldn't stand being inside all the time. If you look at even like truck drivers, or you know, any of these guys around here, I saw roll-off dumpsters pull up across the street the other day on a Saturday. He's out here working. So, I mean, those guys, I'm sure they have their hazards. They have things that they have to deal with in their jobs every single day that are hazardous. They could get killed over or maimed or what have you. Farmers, I know growing up on a dairy farm, we were forever and a day at risk, and you always heard of your people, you know, in the next town over, or maybe even in your town, where somebody got caught in a drive shaft and it just killed them, or you know, they got caught in a shit spreader and the paddles, you know, just beat them to death and things like that. There's always, or they ran over people with tractors. I mean, there's always things that happen and can happen. So that's, you know, general laborers even, you know, look at the things that they look at in their life. You know, general laborers where you just go and, you know, all day long, you're like, I used to work at this potato farm when I was younger, and it was just 50-pound sacks of potatoes all day long. That's all you did, you know, sew them up and stack them on these pallets, and it was a lot, you know, it was a lot. So it was hard work. So I believe that some jobs are definitely easier than others, no doubt about it. Truck driving, look at the risk that those guys take. You know, every day they're on the road. You know, the risk of them getting killed or injured in an automobile accident are endless. It's every day. You know, I've got an uncle that's a truck driver, and I've been a few of them in our family that have been truck drivers, and that's some serious stuff. You know, I mean, they could get hurt bad. I had one of my uncles was in a dump truck, and he lifted the box up all the way, and a wind come along and caught that box and flipped the truck over. He ended up in the hospital all banged up just from flipping the truck over, you know. So there's hazards to everything. I look at even construction. I used to do construction work also. There's tons of hazard in construction work. You know, there's tons of things. When you got those automatic nailers, those things can happen to you. You can get hit with those. I mean, you could fall off roofs. It just goes on and on. There's so many things that can happen. There's just hazards around every corner, it seems. And I look at even lawn care. When I think about lawn care and the hazards that go along with that, there are many. From those spinning blades all the time to, you know, people cutting their feet off, people cutting their fingers off. I know one instance where a guy was running a trimmer and hit a nail in a lawn where they were putting on a roof, and a nail flew up out of the grass and went in his eye, you know, and he's lucky it didn't kill him, you know. So I see those type of things happen all the time too. More hazards, you know, with the trimmers, the edgers. I mean, my God, you get your foot by that edger blade once, I can only imagine how many toes have been cut off by that thing, you know. So there's hazards in every business, you guys, I think. And also, even in landscaping, same thing. I flipped a skid steer into a lake one time, and I was working on the edge of it. This guy wanted me to do some shoreline restoration. Well, there was a big tree that was laying down in the water that had fallen over, so I came up with my skid steer and I tried to grab that tree and kick it out and bust it loose. Well, when I busted it loose, it came loose way behind me, and so the skid steer rocked back, and then it went down, and then I went underwater. So while I was underwater, I'm trying to get this seatbelt off and get out of that cage, because all I can think of is I go to the muck down in the bottom of this lake. If that cage pins me down there, I'm dead, you know. And I was able to get it off and then swim up out of there, but well, I'll tell you, scared to death. I could have died. There was another time when I was cutting brick, and I had this big chop saw in front of me with this diamond, you know, big 14-inch diamond blade, and I'm sliding the brick back and forth as you look down it, as you're making the nice cut, you know. All of a sudden, I caught a glimpse of something out of the corner of my eye, and here it was, the bolt that tightens that on, and it had flew off, and as soon as it did, I quick whipped to the side like this, and that blade came off and went right by my face, hit the retaining wall, flew way up in the air, and then buried itself in the ground about 50 yards away, and we had to go dig it up out of the ground. I don't know how many hundreds of miles an hour that blade was going, but if I hadn't have if I wasn't paying attention, and when that bolt came out, that blade could have come right through my face, just cut me right in half, you know. So there's hazards everywhere, guys. That's the thing. So when I talk about which profession is best, you know, everybody thinks the other guy's got it better than them. No, if you're good at what you do and you enjoy what you do, that's all that matters. So that being said, thanks for watching, guys. George Packard, Family Lawn and Landscape. And as always, leave me your comments down below and leave me some of your horror stories. I'd love to hear them. Thanks for watching.